Hi everybody, Roy here with Heidi.
Hello.
A gardener here, and we thought we'd walk through it together and create some comments about how the garden's looking. First, I have to say, we're both personally excited. It's looking good. Things are really looking good. Plants are, a lot of them are at their peak. Some that have peaked are still peaking, but in different expressions with foliage, not just flowers. So we're at the Alta Vista garden. We've done quite a few YouTubes on this, and Dave did some drone shots from above. So what I'd like to do is take you a walk through here and share our conversation together with each other.
Sure.
About what has happened, what is happening, and then what the future holds. So let's start, Heidi, right here.
Sure.
We had these gaps in between the Veronica Very Van Gogh, and Heidi incorporated the white Bidens through here with the Asclepias, and it looks really good. Yeah, the Bidens, I think, did a good job at it.
They really filled in nice and bulky. They seem like a small little posy in the beginning, and you'll see it down the way because we hid them back between taller grass specimens, and they show through. It almost looks like you're looking down in water to see all these beautiful colors kind of pop through.
And you still see the seed heads of Veronica Van Gogh are still exciting within the garden. They're green right now, which will turn dark brown later.
Yep.
So they still have their appearance within the Bidens and the Asclepias.
They went from bright purple, some are pink down the way as well, and it's just such a nice transition to leave the seed heads.
And I'll say right now, I'm not a big fan of annuals within the gardens. I have never really used them that much. But this year, this garden was on a boat tour, and then Heidi really came through to lay out the annuals in places that that's not what I specialize in. But now I'm learning, and it's cool being 72. You keep the constant intern. You just keep learning, experiencing things. So we're actually going to grow a few more annuals to incorporate in next year's garden.
Sure.
Here we have Sprablus aeroides, and this is some very Van Gogh that we put between the aeroides. And we put the Bidens in between. And what were you out here doing the other day a little bit?
We're starting to trim back the Sprablus aeroides. They really took over, which is their nature, just to kind of become this big airy plume. But again, they were engulfing some of the colors, like this Bidens that I was talking about, hidden behind here. So just taking some nice shears, give them a little haircut. We'll continue to do a little bit more because some of the plants will start receding anyway. But you can still have this wonderful interest of this kind of grass. And in the morning, this is spectacular. It's almost iridescent with like a prismatic pink because it collects the water and the seeds. You can see how delicate it is. And I think it's probably my most favorite grass of all, just because it has that quality of shimmer in the morning.
And then what
you have to get up early.
We'll assess it a little bit. Maybe we take one or two out.
Yeah.
So we can thin the Sprablus aeroides a little bit. That's what we'll do. What we're doing actually right now as we walk along, and then we'll take an action and do some removal and enhancement probably late September. We'll cut things back. We have some other areas to work with that also. And then you added the salvias.
Yes, they did great.
Put the salvias in here. I can't remember which one it was. It was the new taller ones.
Right.
And the phlox is the phlox I got from I think it was Future Plants or Pete Outoff. It's Phlox Great Dixter. It had a great color, continues to bloom for a long period of time, and I'm not sure if it's readily available. So we tried it in here with the Ammonia Sky Racer and some Veronicastrum. And you can see the Veronicastrum seed heads are going from white to that beautiful medium green, and they'll turn brown later too. And we'll move along.
These have really held their color. I'm really pleased with them, even though they kind of dip and turn. They're not straight vertical spires, but it kind of adds more interest. I like that.
Yeah, they have charm, and it's like all of you out there. You have character. There's some days when you maybe put your shirt on backwards and forget, and all of a sudden, geez, look at the way this guy's wearing his shirt. And that's called character, charm, and why not in a lot of ways. Calamintha doing its thing. This is Calamintha nepeta, subspecies nepeta. It's the sterile one. There's a lot of nepetas in the trade. If they have a leaf that's pubescent and not smooth, there's a good chance they're going to recede frequently. So this is the one, but look at the activity on here. Yeah,
thousands of bees.
Someone just informed me about the black wasp. I'm not sure. There was something about the black wasp and sent me a text and a photograph about. And here's another one just landing.
Yeah.
We'll walk along. Persicaria firetail with Eupatorium milk and cookies. That's a nice combination with Molina transparent. Maybe Heidi, you can explain this area a little bit with the Asclepias you put in. And the pruning we did too, I think.
Yep. The Calamaris we pruned earlier in June so that it wouldn't bloom quickly, because we had this showing at the boat and House and Garden Walk in mid-July, and they performed perfectly. They were full heads of color. Daisy May is what we call her. It looks, so darling with those little white daisies, and it's still going. It probably will bloom. There's still, looks like there's blooms to be had yet. Buds still coming out.
And here's the cool part about accidents. There's a Calamaris blue star that got put in thinking it was Daisy May, but the Calamaris blue star made everything better. That's a little Monet moment.
What color?
When you have the blend of the soft blue. And that wasn't intentional, that was an accident, but I'll tell you, everybody out there, when it happens for you, take full credit for everything that you thought of that to create the Monet moment.
Right.
The Asclepias are really nice.
They're going to hold up strong. I think these are good until almost frost. They get real woody.
Yeah, they look really good. It really made this edge, lifted the edge.
And the Monarda Bradbury, it's looking great with big heads. Those are a beautiful interest.
Yeah.
You think of Monarda being, pinks and purples, just really showy. But look at this with the green under color of the leaf. That's going to be here all fall. I mean, those are dried already.
And there's people still deadheading simply because they think deadheading is a practice.
Right.
Deadheading is not a practice. Deadheading is a conversation people had that have passed away. They're living in the conversations of dead people. And what you want to do is create a new conversation about why would we deadhead something with such beautiful seed heads. So we need to keep creating a new conversation for how we're bringing gardening into our future. And yeah, the Monarda Bradburyana looks very nice. And it does get irrigated here. I think he's got the irrigation, but it's managed by Mihal. It's not coming on in a timed system. It's when he believes the water needs to come on. He's done a very good job of managing it.
Yeah. Excellent management.
And the Provskia little spire, see how nice and vertical the little spire is? This is the third year. The first year or two it'll be slightly lax and leaning, but this third year it's very vertical. And look how it supports the Sanguisorba upright. It's a selection I made of Sanguisorba that has a really nice upright growth habit, but it leans beautifully into the Provskia, and as Provskia supports it as it leans slightly into it. And it doesn't have the big flowers, so it's not heavy. It has those smaller flowers, so it's a lighter look.
Yep.
And again, with Molina transparent, kind of we kept repeating it along the wall. And I did groups of Amsonia butterscotch. It'll get a little taller, but I really like butterscotch. It really has not a yellow fall color, but a butterscotch fall color. And we repeated that through the garden too, like 2 or 3 times here. And we repeated it on the other side that we'll take a look at. So it's that repetition. And I remember when I met Pete Outoff, this was the second year, he asked me, these are good questions, they really don't have an answer. It's just to think about it. He said, Roy, when you're walking along, when do you think you need to start repetition with the planting so people don't see it frequently, but see it enough to remember it so it feels comfortable having repetition in the garden? And I'll never forget that, because then when I put repetition in, I'm thinking that all the time. When do I repeat something, at what distance from when I've used it before? And how do I support it maybe with a different combination of plants so it doesn't look the same with the same grouping all the time? We're back with Sprobolus aeroides.
It looks gorgeous here. Even though it's masked, you can get the idea of how beautiful these heads are. But it is swallowing up our friends below. So it needs a healthy haircut.
This is where you get in a little gardening, where we're going to take 2 or 3 of these out, maybe create more space for annuals if we like the Bidens. or carry some Veronicas. We have Veronica lightsaber in here, starting here, so we might put some more Veronica lightsaber in, and that'll bloom after the. But back there we have Salvia Wisui, and see how it's reblooming, but you kind of miss the rebloom because the Spiralis. So that might be something we do, is open up a.
Right.
We might open up a view here to see the Wisui, or take the Wisui out this fall and maybe move it forward.
Right. I like that.
And that's the fun of gardening, is you're doing things because you want to, not because you have to, and that becomes the cultural gardener, which we'll talk about later. Well, here's some lightsaber.
They're showing off. I love it.
And then we got more of the milk and cookies with Echinacea, baby white swan in the back, and the Perovsky, a little spire, nice vertical look. There's another group of Amsonia butterscotch. So you can see right here, maybe this comes out, this one plant. We might extend the butterscotch out to the end a little more, so it's visual in the fall when it has the fall color. And maybe take this group out and bring some more of the lightsaber in through here. That we have Veronica in there, but it's hard to see. So we might bring that out here too. It didn't seem we pruned these as heavily either.
And they're hiding still. Here's another hole.
There's some in there.
Yeah.
So Heidi, you saw that penstemon and pointed that. It's penstemon dark towers, and it felt as.
Yeah, it's a great color contrast with the wall, with the sedum, with everything white up here, and the beautiful red seed head. It just didn't have enough to stand up, so it needs support, and that's something to think about next year. We'll move it where it has a little bit more support around it. There's some down the way that you'll see they're still standing up, but without it, it just becomes a heavy plant. But the coppery leaf is really a great interest. The red seed head is amazing, so a very good contrasting type plant to put in, and you'll see it probably through the fall till frost, or till it reseeds.
I was mentioning, in well-drained soil,
Yeah.
it stands more upright. There's a plant that really lives in, it's Penstemon digitalis, lives in well-drained soil and will be much more upright. Here it's spoiled. It's got really rich soil, and it's got irrigation, so it never really, it's living in a situation it's not evolved in. So that's why it leans over a little bit. So what we're thinking of doing too is we have some Astroladian black over here. We might take the penstemon out, relocate it, and use, it's got the copper foliage, the black foliage, and put Ladian black over here and increase some of the more blue flocks that we have here. So you can see we're into all these little thoughtful things that we're going to be doing in September. And actually, when you think about it, it's about a 25 plant process, maybe 30 plants that we'll bring in and take out.
Here's another big batch of it. It's kind of spread, but it was pretty tall even last week when I was here. So maybe we had some serious rain this weekend. May have beaten it up a little bit.
We did have like 4 or 5 inches of rain in an hour and a half. So that was a challenge to these upright plants. Once it weakens them a little bit and the seed heads are heavy, they may not pop back as quickly. So I want to point out Helenium. There's a good question about the Helenium. I forgot the name, but I remembered it again. It's called Potter's Wheel. Helenium Potter's Wheel. I've not had good luck growing Heleniums that aren't yellow, like the native Helenium does fine here. But this Helenium Potter's Wheel I've had good luck with now for almost 4 years. It's been very durable and comes back easily. So it might have some autumnalis blood in it, Helenium autumnalis. And I'm not sure what it's hybridized with, but it has durability and lives well through our winters compared to the other Heleniums. I think you just kept working your way through, scattering the annuals along the edge.
Yeah.
And then you can see some of the repetition. Here's Monarda bradburyiana again. We have it just past the Spiralis aeroides. And I think we repeat it No, we don't have any more down here.
That duck towers might be cool with the stilby, because this is a pretty strong, stiff branched thing,
Oh, yeah.
and a great seed head as well. And with the copper and red
Yeah, we could-
against it, that would be kind of cool.
We could mix them in that hole with the annual
Yeah, yeah. I think that would be a good
right in here.
helper.
And there's some right here, but you can put something in between that too. That's where you look at taking a group and mingling a few things in it, take one of them out and put something more vertical within there to hold, to support it. So you're always assessing, reviewing, and looking, and that's the why not of what we're doing. Why not enjoy constantly assessing, and that's what cultural gardeners do. But they do it at a rate that's, not overwhelming. There's some things you could just leave, and some things you can edit into a different situation. Kind of like changing the storefront window of a clothing shop. You don't leave the same sport coat on the mannequin for 6 months. You keep changing the clothing to invite people into the store.
Use a bit more feeling in gardening too.
Yeah. And the thing I like is this is something you don't hire people to do. This is something you can do and have fun doing, and find some opportunities for yourself to go out, learn plants, experience who they are, and bring them into your life. As far as adding a little bit more of something to do other than some of the wonderful things you are doing. Well, we're almost to the end, and a lot of you are thankful. You probably got dinner waiting for you or something. So it's like, thank God Heidi and Roy are finishing up here. We just have some Agasachi nepetoides, a little bit of that we prune to keep it a little lower, but it adds a little moment of whitish, kind of a lime green color.
You can see the ones we didn't prune. That's how tall they'll get.
See, as they come above the Calamagrostis Carl Forster. And again, you see how you can be the artist in the garden? It's not just put it in, and it's not like designing your living room. You bring the couch in, you don't come back in a week and see the couch wrapping around the dining room table, and you have to cut the couch in half to keep it where it's at. When you decorate the interior, you could leave for 20 years and the only thing that'll happen is it gets dusty. Nothing's going to move unless there's an earthquake or something to shift it around. The dynamics of gardening are the excitement. I think it's where you just get bubbly about it. And that's kind of what we want to share with people, is why not be bubbly? Why be flat? If you open up a 7-Up and leave it in the fridge for 2 days, you're not going to drink it. It's flat. So why have a flat life? Be bubbly.
Words of wisdom.
Thanks, Heidi. Thank you. She's always encouraging. Very encouraging to be bubbly.
I laugh with you, Ned.
Oh, thank you.
It's fun.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.